Jim McLaughlin is a pollster for the Trump campaign, and Dustin Olson is a pollster with American Pulse Research and Polling. Thank you both for coming on. Jim, I'd like to
Great to
start
be
with
here.
you on this one. Yeah, so the garbage comment from President Biden, he made an effort, or his staff made an effort to put out on social media that that's not what he meant. He didn't mean all supporters. But if you listen to the clip, it was plural, the word. Is she in damage control today, Jim? And how's that working out?
Look, I think the truth of the matter is they were in damage control before this even happened. Because when you look at all the polls over the last month, slowly but surely, Donald Trump clearly has the momentum. And those comments were just, it just goes to show you what kind of disdain the left has for voters and the American people. I mean, I was awestruck when I saw that. And look, it's out of his own mouth. She should have repudiated them as soon as it happened, just like Donald Trump did when he didn't like what the comedian said at his rally. And she doesn't do it. Why? Because basically, she is the same, and probably in a lot of ways, she's going to be even worse than Joe Biden, because as extreme and failed as Joe Biden is, she's even more extreme and more radical than Joe Biden would ever be.
Dustin, was this Biden's deplorables moment? And by Biden, I also mean, Biden-Harris deplorables moment by Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think Biden had his deplorables moment like years ago. He's had a lot of love for half of the country who support Trump for some time, and you think of the speech there in Philadelphia with the red behind him and everything else. There's been a lot of disgust towards half the country since the deplorables, or since the clinging to their guns and religion comment by Barack Obama. We've been experiencing this for some time, and it does have an impact on the polls. And the Madison Square Garden event was very high energy. It was very positive, and they needed to do something to stop that and blunt it. And you saw last week they started talking about it, some obscure reference to, I don't know how many events have happened at Madison Square Garden, probably 100,000, probably, I don't know, but it's been quite a few. And the one event happened there, and they wanted to associate half of the country with it. It just, all of that stuff goes to a point that people, I think, are voting like their life depends on it. And you see it in the early returns.
Yeah, Nazi rally, Hitler, fascist, now garbage. 6 days away from Election Day with all of that rhetoric out there, and we have the latest polling for you. These are the averages of the battleground states. This is from 538, so let's start. Since we have two pollsters on, we've got to ask you about it. So do you see Trump up in Arizona, in Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania? You see Harris up in Michigan and Wisconsin, but both by just a fraction of a point there for Kamala Harris and the Harris campaign. What are you seeing, Jim, in these 7 key battleground states?
The same thing. And it may not look like a lot, but the trend tells the story. And I've been doing this stuff now going on 4 decades. And it's all about momentum, especially at the end of the campaign. And look, all these things that are happening here, and I think the left got really in the Harris campaign, when they saw that rally at Madison Square Garden, they saw that they had lost the joyride. And all the momentum now is on Donald Trump's, on his side. And what we're seeing, too, here at the end, if you go to those rallies, when Donald Trump speaks, and people talk about the other comments, but it's mostly issue related. And that's what's happened. Donald Trump has always shown, whether it was back in 2016, whether it was back in 2020, he's a great closer. He understands what the most important issues are to voters. It's immigration, it's the economy, it's national security. That's what he's focused on. That's why he has the momentum going into Election Day.
All right, millions of votes already cast, by the way, in early voting. Got to leave it there. Jim and Dustin, thanks so much for joining us this morning.